take a deep breath in. And as you breathe in a strong, powerful, resourceful feeling. As you exhale, allow your eyelids to close, and as they close, allow the feeling of your eyes closing to take you into a place of deep relaxation. The place where change happens. I want you to imagine that as you breathe in and breathe out, the one thing in life that is guaranteed is change, uncertainties, ideas that evolve, plans that get amended. Nothing stays the same. So as you breathe in and breathe out, feel a willingness to embrace change, to feel that changes are opportunities. You may have heard people use the phrase that in life, you play the cards that you were dealt. And you could imagine that this might mean your genetics or circumstances. But as you breathe in and breathe out, what if life was not a single hand that you're dealt, but the constant ability to play new hands and to be dealt new cards? And if that were true, one of the best things you can do in life is to fold a hand to preserve those valuable resources that you possess, to deploy them when the cards you're dealt are more favorable. I want you to breathe in and breathe out and imagine a long staircase. You're at the top, and imagine this staircase is surrounded by cosmic swirls. Almost the staircase itself is taking you into a deep, powerful vortex. As you imagine walking down the staircase, feel your body getting deeper and deeper relaxed. With each step down the staircase, feel your body relax and feel a wonderful feeling, almost like you're floating and gliding down the staircase into a vortex. And way down at the bottom of this staircase, imagine a doorway into the poker room of your mind. Continue to walk down the staircase. As you entertain an idea, that in the vast casino of existence, the poker table of life beckons. But here, we are not mere players, but intricate strategists navigating the unpredictable tides of fate. Our chips, unlike any other, are minted from the precious metals of time, energy, and emotion, each one carrying the weight of moments lived, efforts expended, and feelings felt. As you continue down that staircase towards this poker room with a poker table of life just within your imagination, imagine that every hand we're dealt is a chapter of our story, a mosaic of circumstances and choices. Some hands are flush with promise, Others challenge our very spirit. But it's not the cards themselves, but how we play them that defines our journey. With every raise, call, or fold, we decide which memories to cherish, which endeavors to pursue, and which pains to release. Step after step, going down that staircase, the doorway to this poker room gets closer and closer, feeling deeper and deeper relaxed. And imagine, in this poker game of life, to go all in is to commit oneself entirely, investing every heartbeat, every thought, every tear, in the belief of a brighter outcome. Yet there are times when the wisest move is to retract, to conserve our chips for battles more deserving, for dreams more aligned with our heart's true compass. And the stakes in this poker game of life are monumental. For in this game, every chip wagered is a fragment of our very soul. The table, often silent, bears witness to our most profound triumphs and shattering losses. But it can also teach us resilience, discernment, and the art of balance, knowing when to hold firm and when the very best thing to do is to just let go. And as the game progresses, we learn that betrayal, much like an unexpected card on the turn, can refine our strategy, sharpening our intuition, molding us into more discerning players. It propels us to ask, knowing what I now know, how shall I play this hand? And in the end, life's poker isn't about amassing the most chips, but about playing in a way that when we finally leave the table, we do so with a legacy of meaningful moments, lessons learned, and a heart full of cherished memories. Because it's not the hand we're dealt, but how we play that etches our mark on the annals of time. Feel footstep after footstep taking you down this long staircase and find yourself now at the doorway of the poker room of life, just in your imagination. As I count down from 5 to 1, you will imagine opening the door and finding a suitable poker table in which to play. 5, putting your hand on the handle. 4, opening the door. 3, feeling the weight of the door as you open the door. 2, walking through the door. 1, closing the door behind you, and then seeing infinite poker tables with infinite hands being played. And of all of these, choose the table that represents where you're living in the world, the age you currently are. All of your experiences, wisdom and knowledge represent just some of the chips that you bring to that table. And the rest of these chips represent your time, energy, and emotions. And what if every hand that you're dealt represents a different facet of your life? Friendships, business opportunities, career directions, relationships, There are some things that the very best thing to do is to play that hand. Within your life, there are friendships that you cherish, and that is a hand that you continue to play. There are hobbies or interests that you still have the same enthusiasm now that you had many years ago, and these are hands that you continue to play. But sometimes there are friendships or relationships that you're not meant to play that hand for too long. The moment you figure out that the hand is no longer worth playing in life, just in poker, the very best thing you can do is to fold that hand and take your chips that represent the time, energy, and emotions, and to wait for a hand worth playing. As you breathe in and breathe out, feel how relaxed you feel at that poker table. The game of life is nuanced. There is no right or wrong way to play. But what if you can take the essence of being decisive, knowing when to walk away and knowing when to continue, could enable you to conserve the things that you value, your energy, your time, your emotions, because this is what constitutes life. And maybe you could imagine being dealt a hand, and you could see maybe each decision as a card in your hand, knowing that with the right combination you hold the power to win almost any hand you're dealt. Life, just as in poker, recognize that some hands are meant to be folded, freeing up your resources for better opportunities. And sometimes in poker, you can feel that you've invested too much. And maybe when you look at how many chips you've already put in, you become emotionally attached to the outcome. Just like a friendship that you've invested many years cultivating. So at the point of a betrayal or a moment of disrespect, the tendency is to try and play that hand when you know intuitively the best thing to do is to walk away. And that doesn't mean you walk away on a whim. Depending on the circumstances, you could give someone several chances, but if chance after chance reveals the person or the situation to not be worthy of your time, energy, and resources, allow your intuition to guide you to being decisive and strategic and walking away from that situation. Because in this metaphor, betrayals are not setbacks. They are invaluable gifts, guiding you towards better decisions about who to trust and who to spend time with. As you breathe in and breathe out, accept the idea that with every breath, you are strengthening your inner boundaries, creating a protective barrier between you and any external influences. I want you to imagine playing with the poker chips in front of you and feeling the weight of those poker chips, each one representing time, energy, or emotion. And I want you to feel just how precious life is. And if life is precious, why would you play those chips on a situation that's proven to take rather than give? As you play your hand, Remember that decisiveness is a skill you possess. And there have been times in your life that you've made decisive decisions that you stuck with, never looking back, freeing up time that enabled you to become wiser and make even better choices in the future. And imagine being dealt an amazing hand, maybe 2 aces or 2 kings. And sometimes in life you're presented with unbelievably good opportunities. A great friend, perfect relationship. But be willing to continue to evaluate those things as circumstances change. What can feel like an unbelievably good bit of luck at one point can turn into something that drains your time, energy, and emotions later. And in moments of hesitation or reflection, you can ask yourself, is this still the right hand to play? Trusting in your ability to decide and act accordingly. Remember that in life, as in poker, there's strength in knowing when to play and when to step back. And sometimes the very best thing to do is to reassess and wait for a better hand. And maybe you can think of times when you wanted to gauge the reaction of other players. Maybe you checked or called, not because of your hand, but because you wanted to read what the other players would do. And that's something you can also do in life. You don't have to demand answers. And many times the best thing isn't for you to do anything, but just to sit back and observe, watch. People will show you who they are, not based on what they say, but based on what they do. So allow yourself to gather up all that information. Feel your wisdom and your intuition as being empowered, unlocking your ability to be decisive. A true decision cuts off the possibility of returning to that decision. See every decision as a chance to move forward, regardless of the cards you're dealt, using both evidence and intuition as your guide. And with each hand that you play, feel your boundaries growing stronger, more defined, giving you the clarity to choose wisely. Celebrate your victories and your wins, but don't celebrate too hard. Because sometimes a win can give you a false feeling of confidence that can distort the decisions that follow. But equally, don't dwell on your losses too hard. Sometimes it's more about your circumstances than it ever is about you. And you can empower yourself with the belief that even in moments of betrayal, you're learning, growing, and refining your decision-making prowess. And you can bask in the confidence that with every hand played and with every situation in life, you're becoming more attuned to your intuitive signals, guiding you to make the best decisions. can hold your cards close. You don't have to show other people your cards or tell people what you're thinking. You can play your hand, trusting that you have all the tools and insights needed to play your hand with decisiveness and wisdom. And you can embrace the gift of clarity that each betrayal brings, refining your choices and strengthening your boundaries. And sometimes it's not about betrayals, but decisions that didn't live up to the expectations you hoped they would. A business idea that didn't really take off. A friendship that promised so much but has waned. I want you to get a sense that at any point in time, you can ask yourself, knowing what I now know, is this still the right thing to do? Is this relationship still the same relationship that I thought it was in the past? And with that new knowledge, that new wisdom, you can make better and better decisions. Feel yourself at that poker table, see the color of the cloth, the atmosphere and the ambience around you, and see the cards being shuffled. And as the cards shuffle and the game continues, remind yourself of the power and freedom that comes from decisiveness. Know that with each hand you're gaining insight, using a combination of logic and intuition to chart the best course forward. Every decision you make is an opportunity to grow, to learn, and to step confidently into the next round of life's poker game. I want you to imagine that with every decision in life, you're putting something of you in. You're putting your time, your energy, your emotions into something. But just because you invest in something doesn't mean you have to become attached to that investment. Avoid the trap of the sunk cost fallacy by being willing to walk away from any situation, relationship, or interaction that no longer serves you. Trust in the wisdom of folding when needed, knowing that a better hand, a better opportunity awaits. As the cards are dealt, remember that in the game of life, your decisiveness, strong boundaries, and intuition are your greatest assets. As you walk away from that poker table and you leave that infinite poker room, feel the weight of the chips remaining in your pocket that represent the time, energy, and emotions you have left in your life. And decide that you're only going to play the hands that you want to play. And you'll walk away from any hands that no longer seem to make sense, knowing what you now know. Feel yourself walking up that same staircase, but in the other direction. Back to consciousness, back to reality. With a fresh perspective on life. A willingness to trust in yourself, but make decisions based on what you now know. And sometimes you'll test the reactions of other people, not by coercion, but by observation. Let them know what you stand for without any ultimatum or consequences. Let them show you who they are. And as you walk up that staircase, feel yourself becoming more alert, lighter, more optimistic about the future, feeling empowered to be more decisive, to trust your instincts, and to surprise people that sometimes the very best thing that you can do is to walk away without any explanation. Returning to the present, take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Just wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, connect fully in the present moment as I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.